And also now on the program is Christian Hartley, who is a member of the Coast Young Professionals, is the incoming chair. Is that right, Christian? Welcome to the program.
Thank you so much
I
for
think
having
you're
us
on mute.
today.
Yeah, great. Thank you. I think you were on mute there for a second. So is that right? You're going to be the incoming chair of the Coast Young Professionals? Is that correct?
That is correct.
How long have you been a member of the organization?
So I've been with Coach Young Professionals going on about 4 years now. And my first event that I attended was the Ignite Leadership Conference. We've actually got the Ignite Leadership Conference coming up again in November. And
Yeah.
I went to that conference, enjoyed it so much, joined, and it's been a great experience. And now I'm the incoming chair, so I'm excited.
Okay, awesome. So we wanted to have you on to discuss an article, an opinion piece you recently published at SuperTalk Media at our website. And it it concerns saying the word yes, shall we say. This is in the Next Up series. Next Up, saying yes, ellipse scared is what the title of the article. So explain what you mean by that, saying yes, and sometimes it's scary to say yes. What do you mean?
Sure. So a couple years ago, I was able to speak at Ignite. And one of the things that I talked about was how, as young professionals, we've got to say yes. And I commented that sometimes we have to say yes, and it's a scary yes. And so, Coach Young Professionals and the Chamber asked me to write a story about this and write an opinion about this. And it's just really interesting that saying yes with some fear, a little bit of trepidation, when you're taking that next big step, it comes with a lot of people. A lot of people experience that. And sometimes what you want is on the other side of that really scary yes.
Yeah, I got you. So I read your story there. You went through a job change. Is that correct? And that's always a stressful event in our lives, and this is something that evidently you contemplated and prayed about, but ultimately took the plunge. So give us a story there.
Sure. So I had been in the credit union field for 18 years. And towards the end of 2021, I was approached with a few different job offers, but they were in different fields. And it was a scary thought. So I submitted over my resignation at the credit union that I worked for and took some time and ended up accepting the position as market president of Cadence Bank here in Pascagoula. So that's Jackson County, Mississippi, here on the coast. And it was a scary yes, because you're stepping into the unknown. And I mentioned on there that I was armed with nothing but my faith, and knowing that I had trusted Christ with my eternal salvation, I knew I could trust him in this next step, and that he would go before me and he would be with me in whatever I did.
Yeah. So how are you feeling about that today? It all working out for you?
It's great. I've gotten some tremendous opportunities here within Cadence Bank, and one of them is serving on the Mississippi Young Bankers Council. So I've been able to get up to Jackson several times and see our legislators in action, which has been really exciting. And also Cadence Bank, one of our values is we want to create a great place to work. And in one of those ways, Cadence Bank has developed an emerging talent program. And basically, they have committed to a big, scary yes by developing a really good bench of leaders and pouring into us whatever we need to take those next steps in our careers.
So do you find that the organization is fair and fairly ambitious with respect to just moving people through the organization into higher levels of responsibility, just higher level jobs?
Well, I think it's really important that they are showing that they want to develop us, and they're pouring into us the information that we need. Oftentimes, you get in a position where you want maybe that next step, but you haven't really been prepared for it. And so that's why it's important for our leaders, especially our leaders in organizations, that we don't look at people who are perhaps ambitious as a threat, but we look at it as an opportunity that we can continue to build, and we can develop people who can be that next step, that next generation. So I really appreciate the fact that Cadence Bank is taking the time to intentionally develop their group of teammates, of one of which I am.
Mm-hmm. So when you talk about develop, Christian, is this like formal sort of training, in professional development? Is it informal, maybe through mentoring, or I've seen organizations where they'll assign a person to a more senior person and kind of shadow them and learn from them? Combination, all the above?
It's a combination of both. It's a combination of both. So we have a really in-depth training department and development department, and they work really hard to make sure that there's some soft skills. And then we also, as I mentioned in the article, we have our C-suite, our chiefs who have committed to mentoring that formal one-on-one. I actually have a session coming up this upcoming Thursday, so I'm excited about that. But I love the fact that they've taken the time to intentionally take this time to develop us, these leaders who are next up in their organization.
Yeah, so is there any particular career path that you have your sights set on, perhaps with the bank at this point, that you want to share?
Well, I'll tell you what I've told other people is that 2 years ago, I had no idea that I would be sitting in this chair. And honestly, my scripture, whatsoever you do, do it heartily as to the Lord. I just want to continue to keep my focus on Christ, do the very best in what I'm doing in my role. And whatever those opportunities are, prayerfully consider them and then say yes to that next big opportunity.
And that's really kind of the main thing of your piece that you wrote here that's published on our website is this idea of saying yes. So are you recommending that young professionals such as yourself always say yes, or are there times when you need to say no?
Right. So there are some opportunities that I just recommend that you prayerfully consider them. Personally, I rely heavily on my faith, and so I pray and I seek a lot of counsel for that. When you say yes to an opportunity, you might be saying no to another one, and so it's just important to make sure you have a really good balance of deciding what is it that you really want and having that clear structure so you can communicate it to the next leader.
What about, speaking of which, in your present role? I mean, you're somewhat of a veteran, having been in the industry and in the workforce for 18 years, leading up to this decision to move and change jobs. Are there people that you're starting to take under your wings and mentor as well?
That's right. So I have a small but mighty team here in Pascagoula. We're building our market from the ground up. And so it's funny because each of us take an opportunity to learn what the next person does. And I believe it's just a good business practice for the person who may be out of the office. I know earlier this year I was out of the office for almost a month unexpectedly, but nothing missed a beat here at Cadence Bank in Pascagoula. And that's because we've developed our team to be able to function in each capacity, regardless of who's here.
Yeah. Well, so it seems like you really enjoy what you do. You enjoy the work, enjoy the people, and the financial and the banking industry, even though it can be a bit technical, certainly it has many technical aspects to it, I should say. It's really the people that make the difference in that business. It certainly was in my business career. That's the differentiator.
That's correct. And we value relationships. We value relationships. We pledge to do right by others. We want to keep our customers at the center of our business. And like I said, it's so important about when you're developing people that you're focusing on them as a whole person.
Yeah. So to other young professionals that are tuned in, what would you say to them as they're perhaps grappling with some of these critical career decisions as well?
I would encourage them to have their why, number one. And then number two, I would encourage them to find out what it is that you want. What is that role that you want? And then be able to clearly communicate that to your superiors at your job. Perhaps it's a networking event at Coach Young Professionals. You might meet someone who can make that big networking connection for you, but be able to clearly communicate what that next step is.
Yeah, and so I'm assuming you're doing that with the folks in your organization, right, that perhaps are at this point a bit higher in the organizational hierarchy. You meet with them, discuss with them your career goals and objectives, and your just objectives in the workplace there at Cadence. Is that accurate to say?
That's accurate.
Yeah, and you find this to be kind of a feature of the culture at the bank there that's encouraged, that sort of open and constant dialogue and open door policy, if you will?
That's been my experience. And like I said, I'm brand new to the bank. I call myself still brand new to the bank, but that's been my experience overwhelmingly here, no matter if I've met our president and CEO, Dan Rollins, or even down to my division president, who I report to, raise your hand, ask for help, and we're here to help you in any way that we can. And that's what's been really encouraging about being an employee at Cadence Bank.
Gotcha. Well, Christian, it's been a pleasure speaking to you, and I'm sure we'll talk some more, and good luck to you in your career and your professional life.
Thank you so much.
You got it. We're coming right back, folks, in the Element Wealth studio.